Hello, everyone. I'm here to open one more booster box of Into the Accordlands. And I have with me my binder of a few cards that I kept from the original game from when I was a kid. So I'm going to go through the box, talk about that a little bit, and then I'll talk about some of the cards in the binder. So for anyone new to the stream, Odyssey Games is my shop here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Happy to answer any questions about the shop, Warlord, or anything else related. We did kickstart the game, and me and my team will be at Gen Con again this year to run all of your events for you, so that Josh and Woodrow can have a nice time promoting Warlord. We started doing weekly events as of last Saturday. Was our release event, and then in 2 days, this coming Saturday, will be the first real constructed weekly event. That's Saturday at 1 p.m. If you're in the Southwest Michigan area, come on out. It's a lot of fun. I'm one of the only returning players. Most of the people are brand new. I almost tried to dump the box over how I do it at home. I'll do it with the packs in there because that's the professional way to do it. So it's been great teaching everyone about Warlord, getting new people excited for the game. Just seeing packs of Warlord opened again after 20 some years is a crazy experience. Seeing friends who'd never heard of the game before a couple months ago, like, ask me questions about deck building, trading, selling cards, whatever, just talking about Warlord has been pretty wild. So I look forward to answering a lot more. So we have booster box of 24 packs. Because the shop kickstarted the game, all of our full booster boxes do include the Kickstarter promo pack, which is a set of unique arts for cards in the set. They're all like extended art versions of cards in the set. There's nothing exclusive, but these were a variety of like stretch goals during the Kickstarter. So it's a pack of, I don't know, it's maybe like 15-ish cards in that little pack. All right. So, because I have this down to a better process here, we're going to do commons and uncommons relatively quickly. I will show off rares and legendaries. We have a little zoom area for me to get a little close and zoom of the fancy stuff. So your packs have a token at the very back. They have a foil or extended art slot. They have a rare or legendary slot, 3 uncommons, and 10 commons. So this is your pack layout. So token, foil, or extended art. This can be of any rarity, rare or legendary, uncommons, commons. So with that in mind, I'm going to go through each pack in the said order. So 10 commons. Fan them out briefly. There you go. Nice little mix of stuff. 3 uncommons. I'll read them off. Tide Turner, Wasan Wolf Spirit, it's an Nothrog Warlord. Ragar Root Strength. We have our rare slot. It's a Well of Screams. In this case, this is a legendary, so this is our first legendary. Good start. This is an item with 1 react and 1 order. React twice per turn. Before a character is killed, banish it instead, and you put a charge counter on your well. And then as an order, you spend the well and remove any number of charge counters, and you can play a spell from your discard pile with a level equal to the number of counters you removed. This one is quite powerful. I like this card quite a bit. So legendaries will keep up there. And then this is our foil or extended art slot. This is an uncommon extended art. This is a Warlord. So these are kind of exciting. If you're gonna get a cool special version of a card in your deck, make it one that starts in play. So this is Aneta Yaskar. And obviously our token is gonna go off to the side. All right. I'll leave sort of the hits up top. So the little pull tabs I found, I'll show it on the next pack. The pull tabs are quite nice. You can also like sort of peel open the pack like you normally would. So token, we've got our 10 commons. There's 10 commons. We have 3 uncommons. Orthos, Shadows, Axe. This is a Dwarven Warlord. Hunting Staff, Medical Kit. So there are Warlords of uncommon rarity and up. Each faction has 4 for a total of 24 options, so they're kind of spread out amongst the uncommon, rare, and legendary slot there. They're relatively easy to come by. Anyone who's just starting the game and comes and meets me, I'm happy to give away plenty of cards to get your Warlord collection started. Our rare is Dupe. This is a strong melee rogue action card. As a react, after this character is targeted by a melee strike, move to a different position in this rank. The strike is a critical failure, and the character performing the strike must succeed with a skill check. If they fail, they can't perform melee strikes for the rest of the turn. This is great for Alrain. Allows them to make an extra melee strike for moving to a new position, and sort of counters like an enemy character's attack fully, potentially, if they fail the skill check. So powerful rare rares, we'll just kind of put in a pile. Alright. This is a pretty cool one. I'm actually kind of excited to get this in extended art. I have one in non-foil. This is the Farhaven Guide. So this is a rare. It's extended art and foil. I've come around a lot on the foils in the past week or so, seeing people open more cards. It just works nicely. Foil's just on the frame there. It works really nicely on the items just because it gives it like a metallic finish. So I kind of like this. Not normally a foil person with my card gaming. But I've slowly been collecting some of them to upgrade. The elf border also looks really cool. It's kind of like a white, but the metallic foil is a really nice effect. So this is a level 6 item of any class. You can equip it, spend order, search your deck for a lower level action card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and then you banish the guide. The action card you search must be lower level than the character that this is attached to, not lower level than the item. I had this come up a few times. Few people ask questions about that one. It's referencing the character holding the guide. So this is a super cool one, actually. So the packs have a pull tab actually on both sides. And what I found is usually you can't get it to sort of pull all the way down. Sometimes you can. And then you get the cards out. But what you can do is you pull one about halfway, you flip it over, pull the other one the other way, and then you get the cards out. So, commons, we have 10. We have 3 uncommons, Fireball, Skulk in the Shadows, and Viscous Goo. Our rare is Invoke the Storm. It's one of my favorite cards in the set. Not technically a Deveranian card, but it definitely rewards you for playing as a Deveranian. It summons a particular token. So you spend your cleric, and you put this token into play ready in your first rank, which is the Stormlord token, which is also really cool art. The Storm Wraiths are kind of a cool, unique part of the Deveranians. And there he is. He's a high-level fighter. He's got 2 attacks at +7, 8 armor, but he's planar, so odd die rolls against him miss. But at the end of your turn, you have to kill one of your own Deverenians. He can choose himself, so you could play this card in any deck that has level 5 Cleric, but then at the end of the turn, he would just have to consume himself. Or if you're playing a Deverenian deck, then you just keep feeding him your chaff, your squires, and your lowly knights. Just a very Deverenian card. It's just a rare. Our foil or extended art, another rare. We'll do kind of a rare count at the end. I don't think I've done that yet. There's our token. This is Dark Watcher, the Dwarven Dragon. Unique to this guy is he's not unarmed, so he can equip items that most other dragons cannot. And he's also allowed to equip fighter items, so he has access to cleric and fighter items. Putting him in the extended art stock there. You can open the packs like this and kind of get in there. Someone who opens lots of packs regularly as part of a job, finding the best method is helpful. 10 commons. Three uncommons, a flail, a heresy ward, Graham Hayward, our rare, in this case, was upgraded to a legendary again, so legendary number 2. Tufel Tigger's Shroud is a rogue item. It is an armor piece. It gives +2 armor. It gives you the feats Marksmanship and Sleight of Hand, both at +5. Marksmanship enhances your ranged attacks, and Sleight of Hand allows you to steal items off other characters within 1 rank, or destroy them. As a limited react, after this character is targeted by a strike, you can redirect the strike to an adjacent character. I think this card will be quite powerful in the current game, as more melee rogues are released. The second ability will become a lot powerful. Obviously, it's going to be really good in something like Alrain Gaunt. But all the other rogues that we have access to for Warlords are more shooting, with like Annette and the Sutek guy being a little more melee focused. But Alrain's kind of the only real high-level rogue Warlord for melee. All right, so another legendary. This is in our extended art slot. This is one of the legendary Warlords. There's Grand Inventor Otto, Dwarven Wizard. Notably, he is an Artificer. So it's kind of it's not a new addition to the game, but Artificers are sort of a modern subclass of Wizard now. So that's cool seeing that on Dwarves. It makes very good sense for the Dwarves to have access to that using their Wizards. Wizards always kind of been one of their classes they don't favor, so. But Artificers make total sense, so we'll probably see a lot more Dwarven Wizards. He has +1 level for equipping items. So in the starting position, he can equip up to a level 9 item. And then as a limited order, he can give a trap token to all the guys you have in your front rank that don't have one already. And our token, there is the trap. So Otto puts this on all your guys every round. When one of your guys with a trap token is targeted with a strike, you can detonate the trap. The enemy has to make a little skill check or take a wound. If they fail and die, then they do not get the strike. So he reapplies those every turn. It's a pretty powerful effect. I typically expect around 5 to 6 legendaries in a box. So we have 3 right now. Make sure these don't get in the way of the zoom box. Okay, yeah, this will work better. Here we go. We got commons. Commons. If anyone needs commons to fill out their decks or their collections, come and find me any day of the week while I'm here. Uncommons, Anales Deverenium, Blessed Vestments, Essence Drain. our rare Divine Respite. This is a level 4 cleric action. As an order, you roll a die, target your other character. So you can't target yourself. And 1 through 9, you unstun the target, so that takes it from the stun position to the spent position. 10 through 19 is you ready the target, so if it is stunned, it just simply becomes ready. Natural 20, you ready the target, and it gets plus 4 attack and AC this turn. This is a decent rare. Foil or extended art slot, another legendary. One of the epic action cards. This is the Wizard Epic Invocation, Epic Evocation. This is a roll spend order like the last card, so we roll a die. We target 2 characters in different ranks, 2 enemy characters in different ranks. And on a 1 to 9, you inflict a wound on each non-Warlord target. So minimum, you're at least doing a damage to 2 things. 10 through 19, you inflict a wound on each target. So the difference there is you could target their Warlord, and if you get that 10 to 19 slot, this does do a wound to them. And natural 20, you banish each non-Warlord target. So it's kind of interesting. The first and last modes do not affect a Warlord. Only the middle one does. So you can kind of get lucky and roll that middle one and get a damage on their Warlord from infinite range. If you have something like Advantage, you can pick your choice of the 2. So that's pretty cool. Card is quite good. All the epic cards, surprisingly good. Early on when we were just getting new cards fresh or just playing with like either the prototype decks or the little like welcome decks or print and play stuff, I was not convinced that the roll cards were worth a legendary slot, but they are in fact all quite powerful and well worth it. Commons. Uncommons. Cloak of Flight. Crownland Strategist. Well supplied. This could be the Fabled God Box. Just one from the stack. I did not pick this one out special or anything. This is a pretty important card. This is the Storm Shard. It's a level 7 item. Any character can equip it. It's the only card in the current set with the epic trait, so you can only include 1 total in your deck. As an order, you ready each of your Warlords in a game of alliances where you have 2 Warlords. That would ready both of them. And then you draw a card for each Warlord that you readied. So again, in alliances, this could be ready 2 Warlords, draw 2 cards. And then you banish the Storm Shard, and opponents can't react to this effect happening. This is one of the real sought-after legendaries in the set, because it can kind of go in any deck. It's almost always going to be useful readying your Warlord, and it does draw you a card, so it replaces itself. I have found that these are not as rare as you'd think. Most people that have bought a box or 2 have opened at least 1, sometimes more than 1, out of a pair of boxes, which is great. I don't know if there's some increased drop rate on that one because they knew everyone would want one. If that's the case, that's super cool. There are fancier versions of this. This is just the basic version. Oh, we've still got a foil or extended art slot. And there's an extended art Warlord. I'll do a quick side-by-side so you can kind of see how the extended arts look next to their normal selves. We opened him a few packs ago. This one, the art doesn't really move, it just extends through the text box. Sometimes the camera will shift a little bit, or it'll zoom in on the character. This one, it just sort of shows through the text box, so that's why it's kind of known as extended art. in our case. Or we just call it full bleed. Alright, I will speed up a little bit. Probably not going to read all the rares. We've got commons. The Storm Shard is, in fact, quite exciting to use, so I hope you also have a great time banishing your Storm Shard. Lord's Assailant, Arva of Reclusa, Sunforged Smith. I myself opened an Extended Art Foil Storm Shard a couple nights ago, so I have a fancy one for my decks. Rare is the Ardean Greathawk. Foil or Extended Art, so just a common. The Elf Border really does the metallic foiling great justice. Yeah, I think it's just because it's that lighter color, kind of like the silver on the items. But it's convinced me. I'm gonna foil out some of my elves. I think I've been foiling out some of my item cards. So yeah, these are actually pretty cool. Right. 10 commons. We got uncommons. Salvage. Quicksilver Gargoyle. Quartermaster Dirge. Our rare is the Unicorn of Thune. I like this little horse. It's a great little steed. Skill bonus. Great on lots of different warlords that have feats or access to feats. Moves back and forth like the better horses do. And late in the game, it can heal you. Rares. Alright, foil or extended slot. It's foil, uncommon, disperse. Really good Jason Angle art here. I have to get some water every few minutes. I can feel my throat drying. I'm doing too many live streamings. Commons. Our uncommons. Berserk. The Oracle of Kavara. We'll see his face across the table for years to come. And Ash. Our rare, Even the Odds. Our foil, which is also a rare, Merrick Regalia, level 8 rogue item. This is one of the cycle of full armor suits all in one card. So it's an armor gauntlet, helm, shield, all in one item. And it does a bunch of different things. There's some great viewership. I'm super excited to see people finding the stream. Might slow down on the box openings a little bit. But we have some other content we're going to do, like a deck tech. Probably more than one, but at least to start, we intended to put out a little learn to play guide with some gameplay using the learn to play decks. And then a nice follow-up YouTube video that will be sort of a deck tech on how to upgrade those to a more competitive version. So that'll be Lord Velasco and Anacawana. Scale Mail, Shock Saber, and the Cloud Racer. Our rare, Press the Attack. Our foil or extended art, the Dark Flame Bolts. This is a foil uncommon? Common, just a foil common. This is a great little common. Alright. Commons. Uncommons. Cloak of Brilliance, Wasan Wolf Spirit, Sanguicorn. Oh, it's token. Okay, yeah. This should be the rare. TFK Brigand. I believe this is a like real player reference. I don't know the full lore of it. I believe it is a reference to a real person. It's a level 1 Free Kingdoms character. Well, can't have too many Storm Shards, can you? That's why I can have one in all of my decks. That's extended art and foil. So there it is, next to the standard one. It's more zoomed in on the little item there. You can still kind of see the lightning crackle in the back. Super cool. There's an older card, I believe that is the Storm Gem. That was one of the original Medusan Lord's item cards. I'm curious if this is a reference to that. So obviously the Storm reference is definitely Deveranian coded there, so I wonder if this is a shard of the original Storm Gem. It's Master Kaholic. So we're already above average here. There's 6 legendaries and counting. This should be our token.
Oh! What the heck?
Yep. Those are 10 commons. It's showing off the double Storm Gem,
Yeah.
or Storm Shard box so far.
Epic. There's also a wizard box in here. Well, Scream's Epic Evo.
Yep.
Pretty sweet.
Bruntor's Helm, Hobbitlan Stance, Meredith Mare. Our rare is a Cutlass. A rogue item gives you riposte and has a little movement built in after you do the riposte. Our foil, the Golden Grove Mage, level 3 Elf Wizard. Alright, so yeah, so this one, the tabs will be easier. So you like pull the top one, but sometimes it doesn't always pull all the way. So you can either get in there with the finger and fully open it, or you can just pull the other tab on the other side. Commons. Now we're uncommons. Chauvin Avoid Caller. Sister Kieran, a Storm's Attendant. Our rare, Huggins. You get an extended art Huggins in the Kickstarter promo pack that comes with every booster box from us while they last. It's the only way you can get him an extended art, so you cannot get an extended art from the booster packs. That's the only exclusivity. It's just the style. Our foil, a foil rare, the Revenger, a rogue item. It allows you to dual wield. Again, really, Alrain is our primary guy for melee combat and rogues. I guess Aneta, you know, I should not forget Aneta. She is in fact a rogue. I'm not a Free Kingdoms player, so I often forget their cards. But yeah, she's a melee coded rogue, so she definitely counts. I'm definitely happy to answer any questions while we're here or drop some comments if there's something you'd like to see us cover or do live, or if you have any suggestions. I will always be reading them comments. So our commons. Our uncommons. Change of hands. Essence drain. Disperse. Our rare. Hod's Legacy. It's a great cleric item. You can spend yourself and the staff and ready a lower level non-stun character, or you can simply just spend the staff to unstun a lower level character. And rare. Yeah. This is a foil uncommon, returning card from the old game, Fireball. Great viewer count, by the way. Thank you guys so much for watching. Very excited to see more people just coming to hang out and watch some box openings. 10 commons. We will be doing shop tournaments. So as of this Saturday is our first weekly. So every Saturday at 1 p.m. we'll just be doing constructed. We will sprinkle in some limited play, so sealed deck and booster drafts here and there throughout maybe once a month-ish. We'll see what kind of community wants. And then once the organized play kits come to us in, I believe, May, that should launch into things like the Overlord and Dragonlord stuff. So I'm very excited to be a part of that. Got the Bloodsteed, Tresven, Roan of the Deep Brook. We also do have some other cool events in the drafts right now. I very much want to be involved with more and more big events for Warlord, so the weekly stuff is just the beginning. All right, rare is Zaina. This is a returning Deverenian. A foil uncommon, essence drain, and a coward. If you're not in the area, like I said, we do intend to do some bigger events that are something you might want to drive out to, either here at the shop or a different venue potentially in the area that's larger. We can seat quite a few people in here, like 60 plus, but I think we'll need to seat more than that for Warlord once things are in full swing. And otherwise, you can see me and some of the guys down at Gen Con this year again. We've got events scheduled for that. I don't know exactly when the events get posted, but I know that we've built the schedule. It'll be a great year. We'll have new products for sure. So it'll be a fun time for returning people, new players. We had a great time last year too, so it'll only get better and better as we do it. We'll be bringing the live stream setup with us, so we'll be doing even better live coverage from Gen Con. We got Disperse, Lady Estelle, Lord Velasco. Yeah, definitely come visit us if you're Muskegon. I know that's more than an hour. Is it an hour and a half too? So we'd love to have you anytime you can make it down here. There is a store locator. Last I checked, I believe it's only 2 stores in the lower peninsula at least. I think there's a store on more the east side-ish, and then us. And here's Rare Calo Rowan. The Brian Fiend himself in beautiful foil. Commons. Uncommons. Makusog, Steelhorn, Greenflower, Warden, Do Run. Our first rare slot, Anvil. Dwarven Cleric. He makes the little shield tokens. In fact, the simple shield token. You can destroy the shield to prevent 1 damage dealt to the character holding it. So he makes them every turn. I think he's a pretty powerful dude. Our rare, another classic from, I believe, just the base set, Blast. Original art, modern frame. And commons. While I sit here streaming this, I saw someone walk over to the counter and request a new booster box of Warlord. So I recognize him. He plays a different card game normally at the shop. I think he overheard us playing last Saturday and caught his interest. Got uncommons, Rapid Dash, Fire Rain, Idol, and a Swamp Book. Our first rare, Mare Haven, the Free Kingdom's Warlord. A rogue, more range strike focused. Our foil and extended art, a Heresy Ward. I'll definitely probably upgrade one of these in my collection. Like I said, the items just look good. The silver. The downside of opening all your legendaries in the top 4 or 5 packs. Our 10 commons. Our uncommons, Tyrion Ruskin, Thunic Yeti, Sutek Razor Claw. Our rare, one of my favorite cards, the Kingslayer. the sassiest treasure dragon belonging to the Deverenians. Shows off the encumbered mechanic well. You can use it to ready your own encumbered units or spend their encumbered units, including himself. Herself, I don't remember if Kingslayer was a lady or not. Ooh. This actually was one of the cards that caught my eye when I was opening packs the other night and convinced me that the foils are just good. Was the Frame Seer. It's almost like a weird optical illusion. It makes you think the energy and the art is foil, but it's really not. But it just like supplements it in such a way. And just that like white, elven border with the like ivory bone white, just really like pops in the right angles. The foils are just on the borders for our question in chat here. Yeah. This is not too uncommon in some modern games. So it's, yeah, just the art does not have any foil sheen to it, but it almost, for some of them, looks like it does. It's kind of hard to tell at first, but once you start getting them in your hand, look at them. It's just sort of the frame, like the little line frames around the card type are foiled. The lines above and below the card's name, but not the box in between. I don't know. It's very unique. Pokemon uses a reverse foil, where they foil everything except the art box on some of the cards. So this is similar-ish, although the text box is not foiled. Yeah, I don't know. I like it. The old, yes, I will be showing off a couple of those. The old school foiling that all games used, it was sort of a single layer of foil applied to the entire top of the card. And yeah, making them very dark was usually the result of that. All right. Comments? Uncommons. Spell Blocker Pounce. Tyrann Ruskin. The rare is Memoriam. She is the starter deck Dwarven Warlord. Level 5 cleric that heals and readies your dwarves on your front rank. Foil or extended art. Another returning old card, Charm Person. Here's a little ad card. It's on the back of the tokens. I think there's a few different. Dawning of a New Age. Showing off the Dragon Shield sleeves, of which we have sold through most of them. I believe there is another print run of these Dragon Shields that's going to be available through distribution soon, because I believe I've seen them available to at least pre-order. We did get a bunch as part of our Kickstarter, but we're definitely down to the last couple. People do like them. They say they're really good quality art sleeves. Okay, this is an interesting one, this ad. This one talks a little bit about the Overlord system, the Challenge Lord system. I believe this character even has a name that is referenced on the booster box on the bottom. So, I don't know if you can see him in the little zoom box that's on the side of the box. There's a little delay, so it's hard to see if I'm showing it properly. It's this little guy here. But if I flip the box over and look at some of the art credits, I believe, maybe it's on the side. I saw this the other night. Ah, yes, there it is. Okay, so at the very bottom, it says Meet at the Inn by Steve Ellis. That is the art on sort of the front of the booster box for the display part. But then it also says Diabolus by Craig Maher. So probably a little teaser there for an upcoming challenge lord, Mr. Diabolus. Looks more like an overlord. I don't see any dragon. Maybe it's a Medusan Lord, though. Who knows? We've got, I think, a couple more packs. And then I want to show off some stuff in my binder. There's our 10 commons. Our 3 uncommons. Dissolve. Traic, Netherin, Vera, and Bones. Our rare Luthalarius Regalia. This is the Cleric full armor set on a card. Armor Gauntlet, Helm Shield for our Cleric. Our foil rare. Another beautiful Jason Engel. Bolt of Unrest. Level 4 wizard action. Temporarily reanimate a character. We have 3 left. Uncommons. Spiritual Weapon. Holy Mites. Terrorize. Our rare slot Gadgeteer Builder. Another Dwarven Artificer. Super cool. Our foil. This is a, I believe, common. Yep. This is a returning card. Divine Barrier. These are 10 commons. Our uncommons. Firebrand. Final Farewell. Dissolve. Our rare is Dark Watcher. We got an extended art of him. You can see the extended art zooms in on him a little bit more. You can still see his cool breath weapon, though. Our foil slot. This is also a rare. Divine Respite. And last pack. I will answer questions about the Challenge Lord stuff after the last pack here. I do see ya. Last set of uncommons. Walk on Wind. Arcane Approach. Change of Hands. Our final rare, a Warlord. Correct Stonejaw. Dwarven Fighter Cleric. Also has the type of Guardian. That's sort of a new subtype of fighter. Our last foil. Ooh, this is a cool one. Again, another card I'll probably be upgrading in my collection to the nice foil. The Unicorn of Thune. I'll find the previous one we got. little side by side. Zooms in a little bit more on the unicorn. Its feet kind of extend through the text box there. Looks great in foil. Okay. So we got 12 foils. These are common and uncommon foils, so out of 24 packs. The sort of the last slot in your pack. So half of them were just common and uncommon foils, just standard card frame. Let's flip through these again real quick. The extended art cards are slightly more rare. So 6 of the cards in that slot were extended art. I've got a couple uncommons and a couple rares in here. And then we did get a couple extended art and or foil legendaries. So I'll get to those. As far as like rares per box, I wanted to do a count. So out of your 24 packs, you at minimum, well, you get at minimum 24 rares or better. But when you also add in your foil and extended arts, I'm curious what that number amounts to. It's 10, 15, 20, 25, 28. So I have 24 packs. We ended up with 28 rares. And we ended up with 6 legendaries, which is pretty good. I think that is above average. Not even talking about what they are. As far as repeats, I believe we got 1. No, maybe 2. I believe we got 2 unicorns. Yep. Oh, you know what? This guy is not a rare. He snuck in there. So I think we got 27 rares. So we got duplicates of the unicorn and I believe Dark Watcher. And I think Divine Respite. So I think that's also a pretty good split. Especially because as far as the base printing versions, all 27 rares we hit were unique. And the only duplicates we got were because we got extended art or foil versions of those. So I haven't done this with all of my boxes, and I have not opened hundreds of boxes. So this is just some sample data. Very cool. These will go home for the sorting to bring in tomorrow. As far as our legendary hits, so we got 1 Warlord. These are not super uncommon, and there are a lot of people that want them that don't have the budget to open many boxes. So having some extras of like the base version of Otto, for instance, is nice to trade to the newer players that might not be able to find them. I don't think these will be super valuable, particularly. As someone who's opened a reasonable amount of boxes, well, maybe a little more than reasonable, I do have several of each. I am sort of starting to try and collect all the foil extended arts of the 6 legendary ones. So maybe like halfway there. But some boxes have as many as 3 of these legendary warlords, and that's a little less fun for someone who might want a cool action card or item, or maybe the Storm Shard. Less useful having a pile of extra warlords at the legendary slot, but I believe the intention for these is so that they do not show up super often in a booster draft. Now, as an example, some other games handle it differently a little bit, is the token slots would also contain things like the Warlord equivalent for their card game, and then within that cool, you can adjust the drop rates for something like auto. So auto would appear in like a token slot, but would still be relatively rare. But that frees up one of the slots in the pack for a player to open like a second copy of a cool action they want, or another copy of their Well of Screams, or a fancier version of like a really cool item. So I'd be interested to see if how everyone's feedback is on the Warlords taking up slots. One of the card games that I play, all of the like hero equivalent cards are always in a rare slot. They're only in a rare slot or in the very high end slot, and their drop rate is actually quite high per box. And there's definitely been some feedback from those players that they would definitely prefer those to be moved into like the token slot. It's nice that they're super easy and accessible, but it means you just open less rares you need to play the game and like build your deck, rather than just another copy of the sort of base token card you need to fundamentally play the game. But yeah, overall, this was a nice box. I do agree. Obviously, the Storm Shard, everyone is going to be more than happy to own a Storm Shard or two. Which means I have 2 extra Storm Shards in my collection now that I can trade to other people. And we'll definitely be keeping the fancy one here. I believe the other legendaries, I believe I have a set of this one already. I don't think I have a set of this one, and I think I just acquired a set of these ones. So most of these legendaries are going to go up for trade on Saturdays when I'm here playing. Okay, there was one question that I can try and answer in the chat as best I can. And then I'm going to show off just a few cards that are in my binder here. So maybe another 15 minutes-ish. Unless there's more questions, I'm happy to answer. So the Challenge Lord system will be returning. I can't provide any exact details on who those will be, or exactly what they do, or how it'll operate. But the general system will be in place still, so at your local store level, you'll be able to challenge the Overlord, which is the first tier. Typically, this was done at the conclusion of a tournament. Everyone got to play a game against the Overlord in standing order, so first place gets the first chance. If they beat it, then that's the end of the day, and they get to keep that card. They've beaten Overlord, no one else does. If they lose, the next person in line gets a game, and then so on down the ranks. I can't say for certain it'll be run exactly that way, but that was how it was run. So these might be something you do at your local shop, like maybe once a month-ish. This is just my speculation, though, so don't quote me on anything, but this is how it was done previously. The Dragon Lords is the next tier up. Those will be found at regional events, and you'll be able to identify certain people, like tournament organizers or judges who are at said events, or just visiting certain areas, like maybe at a shop on a random day that they have scheduled. Those ones you can walk up to and challenge. You use your Overlord card that you won for a single game against the Dragon Lord. These are significantly more difficult. But you do get to walk up with your strategy fully prepared to take them on. And then finally, the Medusan Lords are the highest tier level. Previously, these were controlled by like company staff, including like higher ups in the company, maybe like head judges for an entire region, or really well-known TOs that would travel to different areas again and would show up at regional events or bigger events, things like Gen Con. And again, you could walk up and challenge those people as well, consuming your Dragon Lord victories for a singular game. And these ones were more rule breaking, while the Overlords and Dragon Lords sort of bend the rules in fun ways to give you like a hard challenge. The Medusan Lords definitely give you a like very difficult puzzle to solve. A lot of them would break the rules in pretty significant ways, whether it's like retrieving extra cards from outside the game, or completely changing the way the starting formation worked. Their stats and numbers would be significantly higher than what a standard game of Warlord would present you. So you might be facing off against like a level 12 character. It might have 8 hit points. Its armor might be as high as 30. But they all had at least a small weakness built into them, that if you brought a certain type of card or a certain warlord to the fight, there was a slight edge you could get. But yeah, these were definitely like these were the end bosses. They were nearly impossible to beat. You get a single game per ticket that you consume. And yeah, they were just like a very fun and interesting but near impossible puzzle for the players to solve. But if you beat them, then you claim it as a reward. It's a one-of-one cool trophy that only one person in the world now has. But then new Medusan Lords would be released to sort of refill the pool of available bosses. So that's all will be returning in some manner. Again, I can't speak to that just because I do have some NDAs that I have to abide by. But that system is publicly known to be returning. And hopefully we'll get to show off some cool stuff like that on the live stream, either this summer or at least by fall, like when we go to Gen Con. Hopefully we'll have some cool stuff at Gen Con to show off. But that's a Josh and Woodrow question. I cannot answer that question for you. All right, so this little binder, it's only a couple pages of cards and then a bunch of empty space that I will be filling with exciting new Warlord cards. But these are the few Warlord cards that sort of survived 20-ish years of my life for whatever reason. I did collect Warlord quite a bit when I was younger. I was younger, so I didn't have the resources to buy cases of boxes. So I acquired packs here and there every week on my way home from school. Get a couple of packs for winning a tournament. So some cards I kept for various reasons. Some cards I wish I had kept. Many are gone. Some were disposed of, I'm pretty sure, either moving out of my parents' house, or I either gave them away or sold them away, I think, to some of my friends. So this front page are old Warlords, some of which are the original ones I either learned the game with or played. They are all Deverenians, and I would love to share some of these with the stream here. I'm going to take them out of the binder just because there's probably some shininess glare from in the plastic. So we'll get some under the zoom box. All right. So this Inquisitor Kyre, or Chire, is a Deverenian monk. There were Kung Fu monks back in the day. There is, I believe, 2 monks in the new set as well, so I'm excited to see new monks. But the Deverenians did, in fact, have a monk. Despite being the noble, or evilly noble paladins and religious zealots, they did, in fact, have some monks. It makes sense. He's like an Inquisitor monk, so he's very unassuming. But that just means he can hunt you down in his sort of normal clothing attire. This was a very powerful warlord at the time, so I do remember playing him quite a bit because he was actually quite strong. And I believe there was a few cards that either got banned or changed sort of in that metagame. I think one of the cards actually comes in the Box of Greed. It's a Deverenian cleric, I believe his name is Cardinal Brimon, and it was a common card you'd use with him. Effectively, what he did was, if any of your characters had an ability when they entered play, he would copy that ability and perform the same action, whatever that might be. And that did lead to a lot of powerful interactions of characters that you wouldn't normally have access to their abilities multiple times in a turn. He would duplicate those effects. Probably one of my favorite characters in the entire setting but also maybe one of the weakest warlords ever made. He's got to be down there. This is Saran de la Chante, or Dilchant. It's a Deveranian paladin. Just iconic Deveranian. Was one of the first decks I built. Partly the art drew me to it. I really liked paladins, and the thought of like an evil paladin was kind of an interesting concept. I played a lot of D&D, and I'd played lots of paladins, but obviously when you're playing D&D, most of the time your group wants to be relatively neutral to good aligned. So I thought of like a cool like villainous paladin was just so cool. And then once you start opening packs of the set, you find a couple item cards that are his horse, his shield, his sword, I think his armor, and I think maybe the helmet were all item cards, like unique item cards that he could use, and gave him different abilities, and I think when they're all together gave him extra cool abilities. Ultimately, those abilities were not that good, so even if you assembled the full set of armor, you didn't get much payoff for it, but just like an iconic like warlord piece. Like just narratively, it was just super cool because the art for the items, some of them at least, was just cropped from this piece. So his shield, his little sword, definitely the mount. The Devranians have these special mounts with like giant bat wings. I believe they're the Verdatha, is what they're known as. So a lot of paladins ride on those. So probably one of my favorites, but also maybe one of the worst warlords. This is the warlord I learned to play the game with. This is Lord Gahid Relian. Set my dice bag. I'll use these. There we go. I came into the shop one night to learn to play Warlord. Sauron might have been a starter deck. I believe he is from the set Good and Evil, which in the old game was a little letter code. Yep, it says G and E. Yep, he almost certainly was one of the starter decks because his rarity symbol at the bottom, which is kind of like the modern ones also, his rarity symbol is a little star in the circle, which is like the fixed rarity. And I remember seeing him on like, I think the front, maybe the front of the booster box, or maybe it was the front of the starter deck. So just like seeing him and like learning about what the Deveranians were. This is the one that I actually learned to play the game with. We came to the shop one night, a friend had told me about the game, we were going to learn it, and so I was watching this guy play this Warlord in the Deveranian deck, and he was deploying these like high-level Deveranian Knights and Paladins. He was giving them these cool like steeds, they had lances equipped, they had full plate armor, and he was moving to the front lines, and they were just tearing up the enemy. And all Mr. Gahid did was sort of stand in the back, looking out across his army, and he lets you roll 2 dice for initiative and keep the better one. This was a good ability. I wouldn't say he was like a super meta deck, but it's definitely a powerful ability, having some control over who went first. But just everything about him also is just sort of screaming like the Deveranian aesthetic of the sort of evil knightly paladins and fighters, sort of like leading like a cavalry charge or using like storm magic in different ways to like enhance their army. He's not even really facing the like viewer. You're seeing like the back of him. So it's just this very like mysterious like knightly leader of your army. You're recruiting these like cool paladins and sending them off to do the work. These 3 in particular do have a little scribble on them, as you probably saw. They are signed by the artist. Pull one out there. This was William O'Connor. Sadly, William O'Connor did pass away at some point, I believe in 2018. he did a lot of fantasy art, a lot of stuff for Warlord. I believe he did a lot of stuff for maybe D&D and other adjacent fantasy type things. Definitely a very formative person. My like fantasy art like aesthetic that I come to like love was from William O'Connor. So some of the few cards I did keep were the ones that I got signed at Gen Con playing. Like I was playing Warlord. Go over to either the artists were in the area or in the vendor hall in the art area, and you find your favorites. So I don't have many signed cards in my collection at all, even from other games. But these 3 I kept, and I am so glad I did. These 3 are kind of symbolic of some of my journey here. So it's like what I learned with, what I wanted to play, and what I eventually played and performed well with. And to have them all be by Mr. O'Connor here and signed by him, they will stay with me forever at this point. I never thought the game would come back, so these honestly just sort of sat in a binder for years, gathering dust. But now I show them off to people that want to see what the old cards look like and hear me ramble about the game. All right, the other 4 guys on this page. This was Mr. Gahid Relian. He was reprinted in a later edition of the game, or a later set, I guess, with different art. This art was not very well received. I actually kind of liked it because it was very unique style. He barely even looks human. It's got this like this blue color palette on it. It was done by William O'Connor again, so he was, I'm sure, given some creative freedom to depict Gahid, because the original piece does not show what he looks like at all. So I imagine this as it's sort of like the light from maybe like the storm clouds sort of reflected on him. That's why it's got maybe that bluish, electric blue color tint to it. I really liked it. So it was cool seeing him get reprinted. There was like a rotation system in the old game to rotate out older sets. So getting Gahid Relian like reprinted was like really cool. So I kept both versions of him in the collection. All right, the next one. This one was a starter deck. I do remember the starter deck. This, I believe, this is known as Campaign Edition. This was sort of the second block of the game, so they rotate out, I think, like the base sets. I don't remember how many that was, but Campaign Edition was like a new base set that I think signaled like new rotation and sort of a reset of the game. So she was one of the starters, and she immediately like sold me on sticking with the Deveranians. She is the Storm Wraith sort of trope that they have. So not only is she a cool evil paladin, but she's also been like transformed into like a wraith, like Tolkien sort of wraith. Usually they had cool wings, bat wings, lightning elements, either lightning sort of around their bodies. Maybe they have like more of a spectral form. She has this cool like lightning sword. So just perfect Deveranian Storm Wraith. And you better believe the Storm Wraiths are back. They have not gone anywhere. This guy is one of the more unique. You're fine. This guy was one of the more unique warlords to be released. Again, another Deveranian fighter, but I believe he is the only warlord still. Maybe some of the later stuff I don't remember as well, but he was level 6, which was quite unique. No warlord before that had been higher than level 5. They gave him access to more items and action cards that lower level warlords couldn't use normally. Inevitably what happened is this was a very powerful deck, and I believe it is still a very powerful deck in the Ancients format because of his access to like higher level cards that other decks couldn't access. I believe he is the son of the Emperor at that time in the lore. Drac is like one of the noble houses, Relian, De La Chante. The Devranians had these like noble families. So I think Drac was like the ruling family, and I think he was like the next in line to become the Emperor at the time. Yeah, very, very interesting art. He has these like modern military Bowie knives that he's sort of dual wielding here. He can equip 2 weapons, so as with any great game, having your rules inform the art and the art informing the rules is great flavor. I want the character that I'm looking at to kind of do and feel like what he looks like, so that's super cool. So yeah, he was just one of the standout warlords. I think I kept as many of the Devranian warlords as I could salvage from my collection many years ago. There's some I wish I still had, including a version of this one. This one, which is the only one that's foil out of my set here. Condition is beautiful. Not perfect, a little warped. For how old this card is, not bad condition. This warlord is Sorceress Ygraine. She was a multi-classed warlord. She was a fighter wizard, and to pay that cost, she had to give up a level, so she's level 4. There's some warlords in the current set that have a similar pattern. If they have extra classes, usually that involves sacrificing a level. So she was this cool like sword mage. Her story for why she's still in here is this is the first card that the first warlord that I owned. This is a reprint version of her. So I wish I had the original art. I will probably try and find one, maybe through one of the big Discords or eBay or at Gen Con. But the first Warlord event that I went to play at my local store was a release or pre-release, I can't remember if pre-release was really a thing back then, for a set called Nest of Vipers, which was maybe the 4th or 5th set of the game released. I don't remember the original sets in order that well. But I saved up money and went to that event. And at the event, kind of like what we did last weekend, everyone was given a starter deck to play with. For this event, when I was young, they randomized all the players into an order, and each person went up to the counter and chose a starter deck from the pool. Usually there were 3 to 5 choices, maybe like 3 to 4 choices. Not every set had a starter for every faction back then. They kind of did a couple, and then other warlords were just in the booster packs at that time. But hers was one of them. I already learned the game and seen cool warlords that I really wanted, and I knew I wanted to find Devranian cards, so there being a Devranian starter deck was super cool. There were a bunch of other people that really wanted the Devranian starter deck, and so the first few people picked it, leaving but one left, and thankfully, when my turn was called, there was exactly one left of the Sorceress Ygraine starter deck that I got and played the event with. I could not tell you anything about the gameplay. I remember it word for word what her card text is. I don't remember the event itself, but I just remember getting that starter deck. And that kind of set the tone for the rest of my warlord career. The sort of like battle mage or sword mage is kind of what her aesthetic is. This reprint art, again, is sort of, I believe, was a similar time as when this guy was released. So it's very like stylized in a way. Her original arts, which you can definitely find on the database, the Accordlands database. It's definitely more of like a character pose art, sort of reminiscent of like Sir Ron and Gahid here, where they're kind of like nicely framed with some background, some like negative space there. But Yeah, this one was like very, very stylized. Like it's kind of like zoomed in. She has this like massive, I think, flowing hair that's sort of occupying all like sort of the dead space here. It's just very like reds and blacks, and that's like the only colors in here. I really like this art. I think it was super cool. And this foiling, actually, I haven't actually taken a look at this card in years out of the sleeve. This is a lot like the current foils. So the art is actually not covered in foil, it's just the card frame. And this also sort of shows the extended art that they're using for the modern cards as well. So the text box is slightly transparent. Again, here's a side-by-side. So very similar to the modern cards, where we just have like the frame, the stats and numbers are on the edge in that sort of foil look. We have art that extends through the text box. It's like slightly transparent. So I think it's cool. It's a nice homage to the old design. Some of the older cards, which I do have a couple on the next page, do show the sort of traditional foil. This might have been like a starter deck version of her to get that foil extended art style, because I do remember most of the foils being the sort of old school, like full foil sheen. So yeah, this page is very special because this has not only my 3 signed William O'Connors, but kind of tells a little bit of a story of sort of my Warlord journey. I believe there is a website I was able to find recently, I think it's public, that tracks, well, maybe not tracks these guys. I believe there is information you can find about some of these characters and their status currently. I don't remember where I saw that, but I'm sure that record is kept somewhere. So some of these guys are maybe dead because I know there's a big time skip. Although the Deveranians not being like normal human, time might not flow the same for them. So some of these guys might be still alive and kicking and might show up again, which would be really cool. Some might have died in wars or from whatever war consequences in the past. But yeah, I think seeing there definitely are some returning characters on new cards. So that's very exciting. Some of these cards I'm sure will come back in different ways. This next page I kept because these are some of the cool dragons and a particularly special card I will get to on this page. Obviously, if you're into any great fantasy, dragons are in no short supply. And that was true in Warlord. Dragons were very special for a variety of reasons. One of which was the first dragon that I ever attained and hung onto him, Blackwind here. And let me take this out of the sleeve, because I have a foil Blackwind and a normal Blackwind. And if you've opened many packs of the new set into the Accordlands, you might have also opened a Blackwind. You will notice it is the same art on the old card. All the numbers are the same. The text is cleaned up a little bit. So the text is a little bit smaller and more dense here. So we have some like modern grammar to streamline some of the text box, but functionally the cards are identical. If I ever put a Blackwind in a Saga legal deck, I will likely use at least one of these ones. Here you can see the foil. It just covers the entire card. It's like a second layer pasted on top, which I believe is how that's done. From the wrong angle, it definitely becomes very dark. But this is just how old foils were done back in the day. Borders are a little more retro looking, although the modern borders I think do a good job of paying tribute to the original borders. It's more or less the same looking card. The symbols are more or less the same. I think they look a little more, there's a little more three-dimensionality to some of the little symbols like the skill bonus or the axe at the top. Yep. that was Blackwind. It was the first one that I ever opened, and him being this super high level character that was difficult to bring into play was just like a fun like riddle to solve of can I get this guy into play. And I think new Blackwind is similar. I think getting him into play is not easy. It's a cool little achievement to do it. But notably, Blackwind is a wormling. It actually says in his text box he has a keyword called wormling, which means like very young dragon. So, well, when I first opened this guy, I was sort of stunned by like the power level of a level 6 character. What I didn't know was that one was just the beginning, and that there were much more powerful dragons. So this one came out a little ways after Blackwind. This is just another dragon I kept. I don't particularly have any particular reason why this one ended up in the binder versus other ones. I remember a lot of the other old ones. This one is Night Mist. It was like a spectral dragon. So in the new game, he would have the planar ability. So with normal physical attacks, if you roll an odd number on your die, you miss. In addition, he has a pretty high armor anyways, so you not only have to meet that number, but you also got to roll an even die roll. It's cool. He's kind of in the background a little bit, but you can see the spectral, sort of translucent, icy color there. And there's an old foil. So this one, at the right angle, it doesn't look like the art box is foiled. It looks like everything else is foiled. This is what you would typically call maybe a reverse foil. There's definitely some specs on the card. Probably show the card back, so there's Night Mist. I think the new card backs are so similar you probably wouldn't notice the difference. There's a little more vibrancy in the colors a little bit, and that's probably just modern printing technology, but you probably wouldn't be able to pick these out in a stack of cards very easily if they were in near mint condition like the fresh ones. These ones are a little bit rougher just because they're old. But border's been, or the back's been recreated almost perfectly. This one I kept just because I think he was like the biggest of all time and the coolest one. I don't know if that's true past his release. I don't know if there is one that's higher level than Supremus here. But at the time, this was the biggest dragon. So again, it just sort of shows like the scale of like what a small dragon, a wormling, like maybe like it's almost like a baby dragon, being even more powerful than like your Warlord, up to like an adult dragon, which I believe he does not have the keyword. Some of them had the keyword for their age. This one does not. So this is probably closer to like a full adult dragon or like an old dragon potentially. And then this particular card here is quite unique for a couple of reasons. Kind of dark, so let me wait for the delay to catch up so I can see it on the zoom here. One thing you'll notice is the card is pretty much upside down. So the text is reading this way down. But the art box has been like flipped with the text box, and he's hanging upside down, which is what he's doing. He's a high-level rogue, and he's hanging from like a castle outcrop, like sneaking in. So this is a pretty unique card that I kept. That being one of the reasons, just because the card like design was very unique. But also, this is one of the original Dragon Lords, and this is a copy that I earned by defeating him. So I took an Overlord to a Dragon Lord player, challenged them with a game, and beat them, so I was given the Dragon Lord to keep. I did used to have several Dragon Lords in my collection. Sometimes I would trade them off. I'm sure some of them just got lost or given away with the rest of my collection. But this one survived. It's Altus Darkheart. So I think was either the third or fourth Dragon Lord release. They would release a new one maybe once a year to sort of match with the power creep of the current. Hey, Skylar. Just screaming. So yeah, so this is the one that survived. In the box agreed, though, you do get a copy of a Dragon Lord. It's one called Morgan. So if you have your box agreed stack of cards in there, there is a Dragon Lord in there. She is, I think, the one that came right before him. I did beat her a couple times. I do remember him and the game I played. I remember, honestly, most of the Dragon Lords that I beat, because those ones were pretty special. The Overlords I had probably dozens of over the years of playing. But the Dragon Lords were definitely like the next level. Like you felt like you were a great player when you got your first Dragon Lord victory. So yeah, he survived the collection. And now that the game is back, these cards are going nowhere. If anything, I will be on the lookout at Gen Con or other big events that we do for people with their old stuff. I would love to collect some of the old cards, like maybe original versions of some of these Warlords. Maybe some of the, even like the old Challenge Lords, like the Overlords. I believe I have a couple of the old Overlords somewhere in my collection. I built little proxy decks for some of the original Challenge Lords to play with my friends when the game was sort of in its dead period where it wasn't being produced and there was no sign of it coming back. So I had made like a bunch of little for fun decks to play against Dragon Lords and Overlords just to kind of show off the game. These are some ads from Gen Con. This one, little ad that we gave at Gen Con. The noticeable thing with this little ad here is it says Fall 2024, which I believe was the original intended release date, post Kickstarter. So I just kept some of these just for the historical record. It's just cool seeing what some of the original intentions are and how we've had to like adapt to it. So just a little ad card that we gave out, I think, a couple Gen Cons ago. All right, now I'm not going to go through all of this stuff on this page, but this was, when were these printed? They even have 2000, man, that's really hard to read. I mean, one with a better color background that I can see. 2021? So I think back in 2020 or 2021, the original company, or the current owners of the IP, AEG, sort of out of nowhere posted a product they were going to release. That was an anniversary pack of Warlord. It was like a booster pack that contained all these cards on this page. I think there's a couple more. I think there's some Brine Fiends, but those I think are in some of my actual play decks. But this was very much out of nowhere. The game had been basically dead silent for years at this point. And then they had announced this little like anniversary edition booster that people could buy direct. So I, of course, bought several of them. I have 2 more at home fully sealed, but I, of course, opened one so I could show off the cards that came with it. It's got this little, I think, little story about Warlord's history and its origins. But then a few years, I think maybe a year or 2 after that pack released to the customers and players, a couple guys popped up on a podcast talking about the return of Warlord. And that's where the new story begins with Josh, Woodrow, and myself. I'm just here to support them, so I'm not part of the company that's making Warlord. I am just here to support the game through my shop, and I hope to run lots of cool events for the game and either bring them up here to our shop or maybe travel across the country to their shops and kind of just be there for them as a support system to run cool events, bring a live stream coverage, and just do like lots of cool stuff in the future with Warlord. So it's a very like full circle moment to Warlord just being sort of my favorite card game when I was younger. It was the first card game that I played at a shop regularly. I did play Magic and Pokemon before Warlord, but I only played at friends' places. I did not play in any like stores at the time. Warlord was the first one where I'd gone to a store, played an event, got cards, and then started coming back once every week, sometimes more, to play Warlord and trade and talk about Warlord, and then eventually travel to big events for Warlord. So that's why Warlord ended up in its own binder, whereas most of the other card games I've played, those cards are long gone now, or they're new games that I play. I have plenty of Magic cards still, but I currently play Magic, so that's sort of my origin story with Warlord. And yeah, like I said, I'd love to put more stuff into this binder. The binder is pretty much, yep, I think everything else in here is just open space. So I'd love to put some more like vintage stuff in here over the years coming. So that's all I got for everyone today. I went a little bit over than I wanted, but wrapping up right before shop close. So we will be here this Saturday at 1 p.m. for our weekly constructed play. And I know a lot of people will be hanging out after the event to just play more games, learn about the game. I've been helping lots of people build decks. It's a totally new experience for tons of people. So we'll just be playing, talking Warlord every Saturday. And stay tuned, there's lots more cool stuff coming on the YouTube and at the shop in the future. So with that, I will sign off, and I'll see you next time.